Well, let's settle for Ghana Briefs.
The race for who replaces Dr. Matthew Opoku-Prempeh as the parliamentary candidate for Menchure South has begun after a rigorous vetting exercise. With just 4 days left for the primaries, each of the 4 aspirants is convinced of victory based on earlier engagement with delegates.
I am working towards victory, and that is all that I'm aiming at. I see no stone, I see no obstacle, no one is an obstacle. I'm just working towards victory, and that's it.
I catch delegates. It's a moment kamumu. Yena yen kambum. Na kuna daye ni mno enyewe. We dia sebe if you ntokwa. Dia kokunu ya bonti dia. Breaking the 8 been see that. But said dia can it is possible.
A recent survey by the Department of Statistics and Actuarial Science at the University of Ghana predicts a victory for the opposition NDC in the December 7 elections. The survey also forecasts the NDC winning a majority of seats in Parliament. Ezekiel Norty, an associate professor of the department, explains that these results are based on analysis of election data from the 2016 and 2020 general elections.
It is estimated that NDC is likely to win 10 regions: Western, Western North, Greater Accra, Volta, Oti, Bono East, Savannah, Northern, Upper East, and Upper West.
Residents of La Paz in the Okaikwe Central constituency have expressed deep disappointment with their Member of Parliament for failing to deliver on key infrastructure promises made to the community. Speaking on TV3 Community Manifesto, constituents say they are tempted to vote out the 3-time Member of Parliament, Patrick Yabuama, in the 2024 general elections.
We equally need water for our daily needs. We spend a lot of money to buy water every day. We are suffering.
Anytime it rains, our rooms get flooded. If the MP doesn't construct the gutter, we will vote him out.
The minority in Parliament say they cannot understand why government will be asking Parliament to approve $250 million at a time when it is asking its debtors to forgive or postpone the repayment of its debts. Former Majority Leader Osei Mensah-Bonsu has justified the loan, noting it is for the Ghana Financial Stability Project.
$250 million facility is a financing agreement between the government of Ghana and the IDA, the International Development Association of the World Bank Group. Speaker, it is for Ghana's Financial Stability Project. Speaker, it's a critical note in the restructuring that government has embarked on.
The Civil and Local Government Staff Association of Ghana, CLOSAC, has for the second time failed to appear before the National Labour Commission, NLC. Meanwhile, the NLC has granted additional 1 week for CLOSAC and government to resolve their grievances.
The issue is that the respondent came, that is government, the employer, and said that the matter that is before the commission, the parties are engaging over it towards settlement, and so that is that.
Academic activities at the various public colleges of education have come to a halt as the strike by Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CITAG, nears day 21. With no resolution in sight, students are left in limbo and continue to face the challenges and uncertainties brought by the prolonged strike.
Strike is really affecting us negatively because there is no teaching and learning on campus. It's we the students that are just learning on our own. Because looking at the academic calendar, we're supposed to start our exams. That will be next month.
This strike has really caused us a lot because the teachers has to come and then teach us things that we don't understand.
Most of us are struggling with some things we don't understand, and we have to learn it by ourselves. So we are pleading to the government to help us listen to our lectures and provide all their needs to them.
As I speak, we are having challenges with our food. You know, we are on campus, and then even the food we are eating is not enough for the students. And so we are spending money budgeted for the semester.
Well, it's more news on 3news.com. Make some time and visit 3news.com. This is Ghana Tonight. Coming up next, many may have indeed disagreed, but the running mate to the New Patriotic Party's flag bearer, that's Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh, insists there is nothing wrong with his comparison of President Akufo-Addo's administration and that of Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. In fact, this statement that he made yesterday generated a lot of reactions and took a lot away from what happened with respect to the outdooring of the presidential ticket of the MPP yesterday in the Ashanti region, the stronghold of the party. Now, let's do a quick recall of exactly what Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh said and the justification or the explanation to that position that he holds, and he's not going back on it. Take a look at exactly what he said yesterday, and we'll fast track into what has been happening today. Take a look.
And then you be worthy. Someone you are about. Mr. Someone come and warm me and said, Dr. About, and then I could for do any monoma, a bit a day, and come it. It's Yabasum, Yabade, Yabasum, Yabade, Yabade, Yabacofium, Yabacofium. I could send another Kwaku for doing the Mapo. Yeah, I'm a Dr. Baumia and Dr. Baumia, TV, say, you're 12 young person with 10% was actually you. Which President Minister Cow said, I deal with fear. Yes, I deal with fear. I deal with fear. 85%. Yeah, past 75 in the bureau. Monsieur Paddy,
85%. 85%.
Outside the better 85 no. And then pay for the man master there. Obia wa MPP mu. I was in fear watching. Obia the bonnet. Obia Cassetiano. The BBS into on TV dano. One case of straight chain yada. Or Ghana, Yachi, Ghana, Bakosama. President Akufo to call retirement. But to be Mr. Case, who said a free style Ghana from 1957. Ebekane, your president be our Ghana chain and Adu Akufo. Messi a free style 1957. Bekane, Mofamo Kwame Nkrumah no, Mofamo. Obia di wa ba di mampanya wa boga na ho ban e di Ghana kona nim China na do dankwa Akufo-Addo.
Well, look, after this statement, a number of people, not just members of opposition political parties, but professionals, you heard yesterday, Professor Kobe Mensah, we spoke to him, and a number of other persons who have been speaking to this. Stay with me here on Ghana Tonight, because Dr. Amwakoba, who is a member of the NPP, in fact, a senior member of the party, a political scientist as well, is going to be joining us for a conversation on this matter. Are we just making a big issue out of this statement? Because Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh today has been saying something about saying the truth in Ghana politics. He says truth is not celebrated. It is lies that are celebrated. That if you speak the truth, you are misconstrued to be arrogant. And then if you lie, then you receive the applause. But this is what the Convention People's Party has been saying. The CPP issued a statement after this statement by Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh I just played to you yesterday. And the CPP is the mother party of the Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Take a look at this. This is what CPP says. First off, that a questioning or comparison of the contribution of Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah to Ghana, Africa, and humanity as a whole is a moot question, dead on arrival, outmoded at birth. The Convention People's Party calls on the Honourable Minister within 24 hours to do the honourable thing for the sake of the country's image and immediately resign from all governmental and political positions, that's including the running mate that he is on now, and issue an immediate apology and retraction. That's what the CPP is demanding. They go on to say that failing which the party calls on President Kufuor to withdraw Matthew Poku Prempeh from his position as Minister for Energy, well, that goes without saying. It's going to happen. And also, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia to withdraw him as his vice presidential candidate for the sake of the country's image and its long-term political and economic fortunes. And that's exactly what the CPP is asking for right now. That if within 24 hours, it's been over 24 hours now that this statement was made by Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh, no apology has been issued as yet, or not even a suggestion for that matter of an apology from himself or the party. But today, when he paid a courtesy call on the Tetrete, Okwamwa Sechim II, who is the Omahe of Wasa Amenfi traditional area, is on a tour there in the Western North region. This is what he had to say, that truth is not celebrated in this country, and that he stands by the truth that he said yesterday. Take a look.
They have misinterpreted what I said. I said since 1957, no government has worked more than Nana Akufo-Addo. In our politics, if you speak the truth, they say you are ungrateful. If you tell lies, you are praised. I am your child. You did not train me to be untruthful or a coward.
It is unclear whether this will put the matter to rest.
Well, so that's Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh today, just about some 6-7 hours ago. And the CPP was asking for an apology and a retraction of that statement that he is still standing by 24 hours. That's not happened. And this is the explanation that he gives, that it is his truth. That's what he believes is the truth. And he stands by it. He was speaking when he appeared before a chief as well. Dr. Amakoba is joining us on Zoom. He is a senior member of the New Patriotic Party and also a political analyst. Thank you so much, Dr. Amakoba, for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. First of all, many have made reference to the advice that was given by Otumfuo, that he said, Otumfuo said to the second, that he said that he had given to Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh in private. He decided that, look, it is worth letting the public know the advice I had given to you. Then Dr. Matthew Poku Prempeh makes this statement that I just played to you, which he says he stands by it. He's not changing his position on this matter that has generated so much controversy. How does that strike you?
Well, I don't know even how to describe it. I was profoundly affected because earlier I had said that if he really wants to be vice president, then he will watch what he says, not engage in useless arguments and things like that. And here, in short order, this is what he said, inviting undue scrutiny to him in terms of what he said, which is not directly related to the issue at hand. Yesterday was for him. He was supposed to see him, know what he's going to do, how he will help it partner, how they are going to proceed, how they fix the problems of the country. Instead, this is what we're talking about, the comparison between Nanado and Osajifo, which I think Nanado himself would not agree with Napo that is better than Nkrumah. And what about Kufuor too? It makes no sense, you understand?
I see. You say the president himself, President Akufo-Addo himself, would not agree with Napo that he is better than Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Well, that has not been stated by him. There's still silence on this matter. But his spokesperson, as Fifi Boafo, is saying that it is how this statement came across that sounds disrespectful, and that Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh did not intend to disrespect Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. Can that position suffice in any way?
Well, I understand that. That is not how you even respond to it. The fact it has come out. Your excuses are not important. Next time it should not come out. That's what you look out for, not making excuses for yourself. The fact is, don't talk about anything that will pay attention to anything else but yourself. You could have come out and say, I thank you, Ghanaians, for showing trust with me. I promise I will work hard for Baumia. We are going to face the problems of the country. We are going to work hard together, me and you. Thank you very much. That's enough. That's enough. What are people going to say? We are now going to wait to see how you come out. Now, you get a first day, look at what you are saying. That's the problem. So it's not just prove people wrong that you are not arrogant. Also prove that you are wise, right? But that didn't come. I don't think his handlers are helping him. So maybe from now on, they should write a speech for him and then maybe talk to him about what he's going to say before he get on any stage. It's a long time to go. 5 months is a long time to go, and many things to say. And if he's not careful, he will shoot himself in the foot.
Well, you say that you talk about his handlers not doing a good job, and that 5 months is certainly going to have a lot to say. But then again, 24 hours after this statement that you are condemning, he says that he's been misunderstood. That statement has been misconstrued to be disrespecting Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, because in this country, it says our politics celebrates lies and not the truth that he stands by.
Well, you see, this is the problem with him. This is clearly this is called unforced error. You understand? And she should accept it and move on and not do those things anymore. Not to say that this is a Ghana politics. What is Ghana politics? What is Ghana politics? If you are running for vice president, is it your place to go and compare the former president to Kwame Nkrumah? What? Are we doing Ghanaian history? This is now. We are talking about you now, how you're going to face the problems of this country now, not to talk about ancient history, which is completely wrong. Your assessment is completely wrong. Either your judgment was skewed, or it was just an attempt to play to the good side of another. It's wrong. It's flatly wrong. So you shouldn't try to say this is how it came out. Okay, I'm sorry. Say it, accept it, and move on. Say something else. That's another way of cutting short every undue conversation we have about him. Accept it if it is true. Accept it and say sorry and move on. He doesn't know how to say that. That's part of why people think he's arrogant. I have said that if he really wants to be vice president, he'll be able to overcome that, because you'll watch what he says and be a bit more humble and talk to people, apologize for things, even some things he has not done, apologize for the party, apologize for his members, apologize for what has gone wrong, and keep going, because you are in a position of leadership. And so there's nothing wrong with you apologizing for things that have gone wrong. And promise we will do better this time.
Dr. Makoba, you're not the only one calling for him, on him to apologize. You are a member of the party. But then again, the CPP, for instance, gave him a 24-hour ultimatum to apologize. That hasn't happened as yet. But then again, how much of a difference would an apology make after this recent statement he made today, 24 hours after that controversial statement yesterday? Would you still expect an apology?
Yes, strategically, he should have apologized to prevent anybody to making a big issue out of this. Because Nkrumah is admired by many people, not around the country, around the world. How do you get up comparing him to the president? Some people say he's the most failed president because our economy is just dead. You understand? We are swimming in debt. We can't pay our even interest. The interest has been deferred. I'm talking about just one, deferred. And you are comparing him to Nkrumah. Why would you do that? You want to enrage the Nkrumahs? You want them to come and have an issue with you? Why would you do that? Undue enmity you are creating for yourself. Why would you do? They are there, they are quiet, they like Nkrumah, fine. So why would you go off and say something, start trouble with them? Why would you do that? Because they are going to talk about it too. And unfortunately, today, if he had not done that, we'll be talking about him. Instead, we are talking about what he said.
I see.
It's no good.
But you see, then again, if you look at the conversation today, Dr. Makuba, and I'm going to let you go on this one, that all of this fits into those who held the position about his posturing and that tag of arrogance feeling vindicated. Because even after Otunfo said to the second's advice, then you have this one as well. You're a member of the party. How concerning is that for you?
It is not exactly arrogance what he said, but in a way it is close to it. You are looking at something and you are talking about it. Talk about the reality that you see, not what you want. How do you compare Nkrumah to Kufuor? How do you do? The man who has presided over the demise of this country, everything is come back, everything. We are in debt, swimming in debt. The economy is bad. The dollars get to 16. Inflation is 24. On and on and on and on. And you want to compare it to who? Who can you compare? What president can you compare him to? So leave him alone. If he's gracious to you because he maintained you for being a minister for 2 terms, fine. Say thank you to him. And that's the end of it. So even he wouldn't want to hear what you said, that he is the best, including Nkrumah. Kufuor himself will disagree because Nkrumah is his hero. You understand? So he himself will disagree. Why would you say those things? Is it needed? Is it important? Does it further your cause? Has it anything to do with what we are talking about today? No. We have real problems that you need you guys to fix these problems, and this is what you're talking about. Why?
Well, Dr. Amakoba, appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. But you believe that apology beyond 24 hours is going to make a difference. You're not the only one who's making that call. We'll see if that call would fall on listening ears in the coming days and the impact that that would have. But the Elembele Member of Parliament, Emmanuel Amakofiboa, also waded into this, and there's a good reason why, because that's a direct route to the birthplace of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, and in fact, to the extent that you would see a number of persons who have crossed the path of Osagyefo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's legacy in this particular constituency. I want to take a look at this. This is what he says. Dr. Kwame Nkrumah's unparalleled contributions to Ghana's independence and development are undeniable, and any attempt to draw comparisons with Nana as President Kufuor is unjust and illogical. And he says the differences in visions, impact, and legacies of the two leaders differ vastly. Dr. Nkrumah's vision, leadership, and progress are unmatched in Ghana's history. And Nkrumah's legacy and accomplishments span across all regions in Ghana, with even Dr. Matapoko Prempe's own Ashanti region benefiting greatly from his achievement and profound impact. It goes on and on. And in fact, you can find a full complement of that statement on 3news.com. So let's stay a bit further on this matter. My colleague, Job Laboja, is connecting right now from the Osu RE area, where he's interacting with some members of the general public on this. this statement as to how the public is reacting to it as well. Job.
Yes, Alfred. So we are at Osu Oxford Street, where we've been engaging a section of the public concerning this particular subject matter. And I must say, many people are not really enthused about this particular comment made by the running mate of Dr. Mahmoud Baomia. And let us engage some of them quickly. Gentlemen, good evening. You are live on TV3. Can you tell us your name and what you make of these comments from the running mate of Dr. Baomia?
Okay, my name is Emmanuel, and I don't know how me in particular I feel about those comments, but I feel the general public wouldn't like what he said about Nkrumah.
Do you support calls for him to retract those comments, as in Mokwame Nkrumah, no? As some people find it not being pleasing? Do you support calls for him to retract it and apologize, as CPP is even calling?
CPP can say that, but then it's up to him to decide as to whether he will retract or not. But then, as I'm saying, he has his opinion. He's entitled to it, and if he chooses to retract, fine. If not, I just feel like there is no need, actually. There is no need, because you can compare governments, but it's unfortunate he's comparing 60-year-old government to these new ones.
What do you make of that comparison? Come this way, come closer to me. That comparison by Dr. Matthew Poku-Prempeh that Akufo-Addo has performed far better than Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
No, that one is not true. You understand? Because Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, he do a lot of things in Ghana. Even Guinea-Conakry, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah do a lot of things in Guinea-Conakry. So it's not true. Kwame Nkrumah is much more better than Akufo-Addo. You understand? Because it's not easy like that. Sometimes, you know, right now, everything is very expensive in Ghana. Even Ghana right now, we are expensive than UK. That, because Kwame Nkrumah is a legend. You understand? And he's a very good man. You understand? But we, the Ghanaians, that we don't know, like, we didn't welcome him well.
So many people will say that Kwame Nkrumah during his time, we can remember him for Akosombo Dam.
Yes.
We can remember him for the
Mahabo.
Is it justifiable to make such a comparison, looking at such huge investment that we are still benefiting?
In a way, where it is just maybe a talk. You see, politicians, that's why somebody say, as for politics, sometimes you can lie, and sometimes you can talk true. Have you heard of this before? But you say somebody talk about this. So it's politics. So if he said that, there's nothing wrong.
Well, so that's Job Laboja there, interacting with some members of the general public in Osu, connecting with us live here on Ghana Tonight. Job, thank you so much for that. We'll cover a lot more of those interactions on TV3 Ghana on Facebook and also on 3news.com. Coming up next on Ghana Tonight, we delve into the fallout from the banking sector cleanup. The conversation continues, and the social cost of it, and the political promise by some flag bearers and leaders of a number of political parties intending to contest for this year's election, indicating they would restore the licenses of some of these financial institutions that had their licenses revoked by the Bank of Ghana. So that's the development right now. It's quite clear. The first we heard was from John Dramani Mahama sometime last year, but a number of other presidential candidates have made that promise as well, to look into this banking sector cleanup and the revocation of some of the licenses of these financial institutions. The management of Group Indom, led by its chairman, Dr. Papakos Indom, lined up a series of meetings with presidential aspirants, asking them to support the reinstatement of GN savings and other financial institutions that were questionably closed down. I want you to take a look at this. First, he met, I'm talking about Dr. Papakos Indom, and the GN Bank team, or GN Savings and Loans team, met the leader of the Movement for Change, Alan Kojo Chamanting. Take a look at this. That was the first meeting today, and also making a case that the decision by the central bank to revoke the licenses of GN Bank or GN Savings and Loans was without basis, as a matter of fact. And this was after GN Bank was unable to meet the Bank of Ghana's minimum capital of 400 million by December 31, 2018. So pictures of that meeting. That was not the only one. Dr. Papa Kozindum and his team also met Nana Kwame Bediako, Cheddar, as we call him, of the New Force. The New Force, he met him as well. And he has also pledged to look into this and how these financial institutions were closed down. And we're not just talking about GN Bank, but we're talking about some 9 commercial banks that were closed down or had their licenses withdrawn. And then also some 347 microfinance institutions, 23 savings and loans and finance houses, some 70 micro-lending and microcredit institutions as well. And so these are the institutions we're talking about. And if you recall, on Sunday evening, when John Mahama met journalists, that question was asked of him. He repeated that position of what he intends to do if he wins. Take a look.
They were closed was that they should increase their reserve requirements to 400 million. And so if 10 banks were closed, 400 million is 4 billion. So why couldn't Bank of Ghana give liquidity support to those banks, put them under administration, and make sure that they pay down the equity every year until they are able to repay the liquidity support? It was done in the case of, I think, the Bank of Scotland also. The British government knew the bank was going down. They gave them a liquidity injection and took equity in proportion to the liquidity they gave them. Today, that bank has fully paid. It's one of the strongest banks that you can find in England. And so I think that there were other...
That's John Mahama there. And this is what Alan Chemantin said after the meeting with Dr. Papa Kozindum today. He says, I had an insightful meeting with Dr. Papa Kozindum where we discussed practical solutions to the current challenges facing Ghana's banking system and the economy as a whole. Continues that if indeed there was no justification for the withdrawal of the licenses of some banks and financial institutions as it has been alleged, I promise you that if I'm elected, I will ensure those who did that are held accountable for their deeds. That's Alan Chemantin's position on this matter. Now, Dr. Papa Kozindum has been touring some of his branches that were closed down, obviously as a result of the revocation of the licenses. We'll show you some of it. But Professor John Gachi is joining us, the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School. He's connecting with us on the telephone. Professor Gachi, appreciate your time here on Ghana Tonight. When John Mahama first made this proposal, the counter-argument that it was going to be costly to go on this path of looking at the restoration of the banking licenses or the licenses of these financial institutions that were revoked. Is it a cogent argument, especially considering all the matters at play and the suspicion that some of these financial institutions had their licenses revoked questionably?
Well, I think we cannot use the cost that we are going to incur to correct the wrong that we have done against some of our own as the reason why we cannot correct the ill committed against them. It is quite knowledge that we all have the right to establish businesses, to become entrepreneurial, and it is not anticipated that the state will forcefully take those assets from us. So if it is established that some were not treated well and they have not followed the rules that have been laid down, then it is only proper to restore those people back to the original state. And I don't see the argument against that. People go to jail when they realize that they are not supposed to be in jail. The state brings them back and compensates them. So I don't see what we are arguing about. So if we are not careful, we are establishing a principle that so long as you end up collapsing it, the next day we'll use the difficulty of restoration to say we cannot do anything about it. And that is not how a state behaves towards its own citizens. That's not how a state behaves towards the entrepreneurs of the country. So I do not think those arguments, they are cogent enough.
Now, to the extent that we still have people whose monies have been locked up in these collapsed financial institutions as a result of this cleanup, have we paid attention, in your view, to the social cost of what has happened, and to the extent that you still have a lot more people who cannot retrieve their monies?
That is a responsibility of a government. A government should not share away to shoulder responsibility towards its people, especially when it comes to the area of restoring rights that have been abused for them. I think you recall that we did what we call national reconciliation in this country. You know how much we spent on that process because we believe. If you call Papa Kofi Indu and he tells you his story vis-a-vis that being told by the officials of the Bank of Ghana or those who took the decision, you will weep. If you listen to Amobe, you will weep. You see, people should not put forward that some of the banks, they were doing evil, they were doing wrong things, they collected money, they didn't use the money for the purpose. In the first place, note that those money were collected as loan that they had to pay. And the bank already provides what should be done to those people. The bank didn't say that when you collect money from the central bank and you do not spend the money on its purpose, you should close down the institution. The bank, there's nothing like that. So we need to revisit this issue and ensure that those who were not treated well, we treat them well, and those who are treated well, we consider them as done. And it is only then that we are a state that is responsible for our citizens. Okay. We are a state that will ensure the protection of our citizens and their investment.
Right.
Remember, just after the banking sector cleanup, what did we use to top it up? We look at people's investment and say, get haircuts. That is what we do. What are we going to do next? So we need to be very careful.
All right, and I do appreciate your time here on Ghana Tonight, and thank you so much for joining us, Professor John Gachi, the Dean of the University of Cape Coast Business School. This is what Dr. Papa Kofi has been talking about with respect to how this decision has impacted on not just him, but the over 4,000 people that he employed.
What used to be about 1.8 billion Ghana cedis, listen to me again. A debt that used to be 1.8 billion Ghana cedis is now more than 7.1 billion Ghana cedis. I'm not talking old Ghana cedis or old cedis. That is real new Ghana cedis. If you convert it into US dollars, it's about $500 million, and it's growing every day with interest. So the government of Ghana and its agencies, if they had paid us even 1/3 of that money to the contractors 6 years ago, there wouldn't be a Gold Coast or Black Shield problem, there wouldn't be a GM Bank problem, there wouldn't be a problem with any of our companies. So if you are competing to become president, I'm also serving you notice. If this Akufo-Addo administration, they don't give us a license, be ready. When you come, you will give us our license back. And you will see what will happen all over this country. The vigor, the enthusiasm that we will use to lift up GN Bank, to make it become a spectacular bank for the unbanked.
So this story is not peculiar to just GN Bank. A number of these financial institutions that went down also having a number of their employees unemployed. And you talk about the social cost of it, and you do the analysis. But then again, Dr. Papakosindu released a video of one of his branches of the GM Bank has been rented out to a Chinese businessman who is using that place for a warehouse. So the banking hall of GM Bank, one of the branches, is now a warehouse for a Chinese businessman. Take a look at that. That's what's on the screen. Yeah? So now, question for the management of GN Bank is they are finding out whether indeed this was authorized or this person just got in illegally. So this used to be the banking hall of GN Bank, which is now a warehouse for a Chinese businessman. Yeah, there you have it. And a number of these other buildings belonging to some of these financial institutions have either been converted to churches or places where squatters just spend the night. Some have been overgrown with weeds. And that's the reality of a number of the investments that were made by these people. Okay? Well, this is Ghana Tonight. Stay with us. After this quick break, we're going to go to the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, because an increasing number of teachers who have been arrested in connection with allegations of malpractice, examination malpractice in the ongoing basic education certificate examination. The numbers are rising. Stay with us. We'll be back shortly. Welcome back. This is Ghana Tonight. We're live on TV3 Ghana on Facebook, DSTV channel 279, all across the world on 3news.com. A number of your messages coming through about this impact of the financial sector cleanup and matters arising. And keep the conversation going on TV3 Ghana on Facebook. And we'll definitely get through to a lot of them as well. And for those of you who monitor the trends here on Ghana Tonight, the conversation starts 3 hours before the show. So pay attention to our social media handles, TV3 Ghana on Facebook and on X. There's always a question there to solicit your views and your thoughts, your opinions about some of the issues we're going to be talking about tonight. Coming up next, 2 more persons have been arrested in connection with the allegations of malpractice in the ongoing basic education certificate examination, that is BEC, and that has led to an increase in the numbers. We're talking about some 16 persons who have been arrested for the engagement in one act of malpractice or the other. That is the reality that this year's this BEC is faced with, and what the West African Examinations Council, WAEC, is having to deal with. You have to understand, 16 teachers have been, in fact, arrested so far for various forms of infractions as a result of the BEC that is ongoing. Now, stay with us. We'll get into it shortly. And John Kapi, who speaks for the West African Examinations Council, is going to be joining us. In fact, these 2 teachers today who were arrested in the Jachi Pramso in the Ashanti region over alleged examination malpractice, following an earlier arrest of 3 teachers and 2 residents in Bekwai for similar offences on the first day of the BECE. Now, on the second day, 4 persons were arrested in all. 11 persons have so far been arrested, and the latest number is 16. 16 teachers. Let's get some details on this. John Kapi speaks for the West African Examinations Council, is joining us on Zoom. Mr. Kapi, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Hello, Mr. Kapi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. If you can put your video on for me, I'll appreciate it. Thank
okay.
You. Well, while you're at it, and just to establish, and first of all, also confirm the numbers as we have it, that 16 teachers have so far been arrested for their involvement in examination malpractice?
Yes, that is correct. We were arrested 16 teachers and then two, other people who are not related to the examination.
I see. And the two other people who are not related, who are they? I mean, what exactly do they do? How were they involved in this malpractice?
I would say that they were just passers-by who were trying to, or probably maybe hired by someone to bring some material to the candidates in examination hall, and then the the NIB officer who was on duty at the place, picked them up.
I see. So that brings the number to 16 teachers.
16 teachers and then two, so those two others who were not related in any way to the examination.
I see. Now, these 16 teachers, do you have a regional breakdown? Which regions they were arrested?
Okay, so we have, talk about Ashanti region, we have 5 from Ashanti region. We have 2 from Bono region, 1 from Bono East. In Accra, we have 6 from the Greater Accra region. I think so far this is the regional distribution here.
I see, but I'm sure you were paying attention to the trends as well, because what does this tell you? I mean, with these areas where you have these teachers who have been arrested and then these cases of examination malpractice, as compared to the areas where this same malpractice happened last year?
Well, looking at the distribution, there isn't any marked difference between what happened last year and what we are observing this year. Basically, you would always have the Bono area, Ashanti region as, areas where the malpractice is actually, pervasive.
I see. And why is that? Why is that the case? That Ashanti, Bono East, that's where the malpractice is pervasive. Why?
Well, that's quite difficult to tell. We have not received any reports from other regions, as compared to what we get from these particular regions. I guess also because they have quite a large number of schools over there, so maybe by ratio, they would certainly have larger numbers of, malpractice. But as we speak right now, I think we have about 7 of them from the, Greater Accra region. So Greater Accra seems to be topping us at now. I mean, us at the end of the third day of the examinations.
Greater Accra has the highest number of teachers involved in examination malpractice. That's not something to be happy about for those of us in
Absolutely not.
I see. But so what's the strategy you put in place? Because if you're saying that what is happening now confirms a trend analysis of what's been happening in the previous years, what's the thinking going forward?
Well, what we probably would have to do is to seek clearance to engage our own invigilators and supervisors, in which case we are going to be able to, have some kind of contractual agreements with them, and any breach of those agreements within the contract would attract some kind of punishment.
Is it the quality of the invigilators that GES gives to you, WAEC, that also contributes to the problem that you're facing now?
Well, unfortunately, it is difficult to do any independent assessment of these invigilators because we do not have a hand in selecting any of them. We are not at any interview if there's any conducted. We do not even see the persons. It's only when you go to the field that you go to a particular center and then these are the, invigilators and supervisors that are working for you, So really, I cannot tell whether it is the quality of the people, or it's an attitudinal problem, or simply, a case of irresponsibility.
But you don't have a hand in selecting the invigilators who will come and invigilate your examination, the WAEC exams. How is that? You just you're just there, and then the GES brings you people that these are invigilators, and then they come and compromise the integrity of the exam that you are organizing. Aren't you worried?
Well, the structures that we operate right now, it's a partnership between the council and the Ghana Education Service. Now, per the agreement that we have with them, or the partnership, if you want, they provide for us the supervisors and the invigilators, and we do the technical bit of it by way of, compiling certain questions, printing, and then dispatch of same to the various centers. Now, what we probably can do as we speak right now is to ensure that the authorities are aware that this is a caliber of people that we are getting to do the job for us. Why on its own? If it comes to the private exam, for example, we select our own invigilators, we select our own supervisors, and then we have our own rules that govern, their operations. But for school exams, it is an education service that provides for us the personnel who do the job for us.
Okay, Mr. Kapi, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us, and we'll keep an eye on this. It ends on Friday, right? So we'll have a conversation on Friday.
All right, it ends on Monday with Arabic,
Next week, Monday.
But by Friday, a lot of people would have been done, except a few who are writing Arabic on Monday next week.
Thank you, and I wish you well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. My pleasure.
John Kapi speaks for the West African Examinations Council, joining us here on Ghana Tonight. Coming up next is Manifesto Check. Oh, the Manifesto Checker is here. Dennis Poperi-Wadam. What are we checking today?
Well, just to give heads up that next month is going to be a month of manifestos, because former president and flag bearer of the NDC has indicated that next month he will launch his manifesto. Yesterday, the flag bearer for the MPP and vice president as well also indicated that next month they will also launch their manifestos. We haven't heard much from the Movement for Change and others, but hopefully August is going to be a month of manifestos. Yes, so when we get the manifestos, we'll do all the analysis that are required. But something happened yesterday in Kumasi when there was conversation about Dumso. You know, during the unveiling ceremony, as part of the things that were said about Napo, the fact that he's been the education minister, he took a bold decision to implement what many had thought was a very ambitious policy. That's the free senior high school. The other trump card of his had to do with how he managed the energy sector. The president said something very instructive. Under the circumstances, many have been asking questions if really what the president said in respect of how the energy minister, now running mate to Baumia, managed the energy sector was indeed a reflection of the reality on the ground. So that is in respect of a promise that they had made to end Dumso in the run-up to the 2016 election. That was again repeated in the 2020 manifesto. And that has to do with ending Dumso. Let's listen to what exactly the president said, and I will show you something interesting.
Matthew Pogo Prempe, Wa Munipano, Ewo Kumasia, Nesia. Na 2016. Abano ba mafano baba ya government na mekacha say pre-SHS policy our biggest legacy of our government. The person made this shit on nonsa no share so obetumi aye because we dey name say obetumi aye ama baso na ye wanye ama broso aye ne ma amase ono ene de bai ebio the Tuabano 2012, Ebana Fabio no. Nam se Mesisano, Nam Nako Ministry of Energy. Also Aqua, Waye Juma a soeni. Dumso on a canone, Dumso Biama. Dumso, yes, there have been a few occasions. But
Right, so that was the president yesterday touting the achievement of the energy minister now running me to Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. But then, when we take a step back to somewhere December 2021, there was an incident that happened in Kumasi, and the Asantehene Otunfo Osei-Tutu had cause to complain about Dumso. Let's take a look at this.
Nansemi wa na kane pesa fiti ase na dum akokra me wa na dum na asaso na mimfidie nyina sese nam se yanko kan kiche ne se e dey mti na kane esa yese biwo David ono a wo ba fie wo kwa akodidi na kane afon na nim na dum na zo na po na da de na ba no zira na me kwa akohwa am na yi na de e me da na wo gina ha kane se e hunu se kane ano ye na mafa mpanyimfo e wo mu nyina so mu nyina me mra na me hwa de kro na le engineer fo ne nipa e hwen kane ni nyina wo de nyina ba manim ne mo kasa e mu broni kasa me yese wono na dwumadie na mahwa aye Hanson say ne nyina ye nkone enkohwe.
So this was in December 2021. The verdict, as we say, is with the people. And that's it for Manifesto Check.
Read 158. What's there?
So this is an excerpt from the 2020 Manifesto. 158, paragraph 158 says that end Dumso, which cost the Ghanaian economy an estimated $680 million in 2014 alone, translating into about 2% of GDP. What we have done so far, it was classified as done. So even before we moved to 2020, this was a done deal. But this video was in 2021, by the way.
It was in 2021.
Just to say, and put on record.
And the verdict is of the people.
Exactly.
Obviously.